Good morning, or actually good afternoon. I'm looking windswept. We have been in a mad rush this morning. Now we're setting off a little bit later than we had hoped, but that's okay because the main thing is we're here now. The amount you have to think about, even just for taking a dog away. I can't imagine what it's like with a baby. Look at Rui. Hello. Hello. Right, let me just get you sorted. Oh, it's been a bit of a manic morning this morning. We're only just setting off now and it's gone 12, which is much later. I'd kind of wanted to be out early this morning. I think we're finally sorted and we're on the road for just the most exciting couple of days. As promised, the house viewings are starting, and I'm sure you probably know by now just from the title or whatever you've seen so far, and I think actually a lot of you guessed it anyway. I'm sure it comes as no surprise that we are looking to buy a house down in the Cotswolds. I think it's something that really we've been thinking about for a while. We actually kind of considered buying in the Cotswolds before we bought the house that we live in here, and we were just going to rent up here and then renovate a house in the Cotswolds. I think it's something that's been a long time coming, to be honest, and just for so many reasons now feels like the right time. But I need to have a big chat with you just about sort of what the plan is, what exactly we're looking for, the time frames around it and that sort of thing. But I'm about to join a motorway, so when we get down to the Cotswolds, and Rue and I have checked into our hotel because we're having a little staycation tonight because our viewings start bright and early tomorrow morning, I will fill you in when we get there. I'll sit down and properly chat to you about just our plan and our long-term plan and all of that sort of thing, because I want to be really transparent with this house move process. I really just want to take you along for the journey with it all.
Police reported ahead.
Better concentrate. But yeah, like I said, I'm about to join a motorway, and we're going to have a chilled afternoon in the Cotswolds this afternoon. So I'll have plenty of time to catch you up then. Okay, we've made it down to the Cotswolds. It actually took a very long time today. The traffic was horrendous for some reason, so it took a good few hours. So I ended up driving straight to my parents' new house. They have this kind of garden room thing in their garden, which I love. I think it's so nice and bright, and it's kind of like a greenhouse thing where it's really warm and lovely in here. But I know that my dad will probably change it into like an oak framed something or other, because like father like daughter, my parents love a house renovation project, which is definitely where I get it from. I thought I'd come and sit down and just chat to you about this whole house hunting process and what we're looking for and why we're looking, and like longer term plans and just everything house related. But I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet because I could definitely ramble about this. I'm going to start with giving you a 30-second overview of basically my entire life up until now, just because I think that really gives this whole thing context and kind of makes sense, especially if you've never heard me say any of these things before. So, as lots of you will already know, I was born and raised in the Cotswolds. I lived here until I was 18, and then I went to university. I actually went to the University of Bath, which I'm not too sure if Bath is still in the Cotswolds or right on the border, but either way, very close by. And then I moved to London, lived in West London for 3 years, and that's when I met Kenny. And obviously Kenny is the reason that I moved up north 4 years ago, because he's always played for northern football teams. So that's kind of the reason that I ever ended up in Cheshire in the first place. And then going back just a little bit less than 2 years now, we bought our current house up there. We did a big renovation on that, which I think took about 8 months or so, and then we have now lived there for I think about a year. And then obviously 6 months ago Kenny moved abroad to play football, which kind of leads us up to now. I hope the rain on the roof is not too loud. But yeah, it's kind of now this funny situation where I am on my own up in Cheshire, and as much as Cheshire now really does feel like home, and our house definitely feels like home to me, I also sort of have no ties to being up in Cheshire anymore, because My family's in the Cotswolds, lots of my friends are in the Cotswolds, and all of my other friends are also down south in London. So it started to just sort of make sense, especially because getting a house in the Cotswolds is something that we've thought about a lot. It kind of just felt like now makes sense. Now would be the right time to sort of dip our toe into the water and start just viewing some properties in the Cotswolds with a view to potentially getting myself back down here, because I think it would be really lovely for me just to have that support system around me as well while Kenny's away. It just really feels like the right move. So that kind of explains the why. But in terms of what we're looking for, as much as, you know, this is somewhere that Kenny and I could potentially see ourselves living long term and, you know, starting a family one day and that sort of thing, that's not what we're looking for this time around. It's almost the total opposite of that, actually. What I am really looking for is just like a little cottage that has a really lovely garden, that's in a really sleepy little village, lots of lovely dog walks, nearby to my family, nearby to my friends, and just somewhere I think that I can really put my own stamp on and that I'll feel really at home, cozy, happy, contented for this period of time that I'm sort of living on my own. So that's what we're looking for over the next couple of days. I've got 4 viewings booked in. They're all very different and I'll explain lots more about them and I'll definitely show you around them as well. Everything from really teeny tiny little cottages to I think around 3-4 bedroom houses, but that would be at the most. I really have my heart set on a really quaint little cottage. I love the idea of that. I am just so excited about this whole thing. I feel so grateful and so fortunate that we're in this position, and I just really can't wait to just begin this whole process and to take you along for all of it. Sorry, my camera just overheated. But the plan for the rest of the afternoon is Rue and I are about to head over and check into our hotel for the evening, and then my sister is going to come over and join us and just have a glass of wine and catch up, and then yeah, tomorrow morning the house viewings start bright and early. Good morning everyone, it is house viewing day. I am so excited. Rue is on my back, also clearly very excited. Hey, good morning baby. Just raring to go, I just can't wait. But I'm just having my morning AG1, which won't surprise anybody. As most of you will know, I am working with AG1 on a longer term basis because they're just one of my absolute favourite brands, something that I just cannot live without. So this part of the video is sponsored by AG1. You know when people say, what would you take to a desert island? This is what I would take to a desert island, and I quite literally do. This comes on all of my holidays with me. Whenever I'm traveling, it's with me. Obviously I take it at home as well, but I wanted to show you this morning a little bit different, but I wanted to show you the little travel packs that I take everywhere with me. I'm not joking, I've got a full stash ready for the next few days. These are so convenient because there's nothing to them. So AG1 is a comprehensive, convenient daily nutrition supplement. It has over 70 high quality ingredients in just one scoop, everything from your vitamins, your minerals, and whole food sourced nutrients to help support your physical and mental health. I would say for me, the things I notice the most are how much it supports my immune health. That is huge. That has been just an enormous change, and the reason that I take it on all of my trips with me. It also supports my energy levels, it also supports things like your hair, your nails, and even helps to promote kind of healthy aging, which, you know, the further into my 20s I get, the more I'm concerned about that. I've mentioned this before, and this is definitely something that you'll know about me by now, but the quality of the ingredients in any product is something that is so important to me, and that's one thing I really love about AG1. They follow the strictest manufacturing standards, and that involves exhaustive testing to make sure that every single serving of AG1 is exactly as it reads on the label. They test for things like heavy metals, contaminants, and also over 280 banned substances. So you really know that you're getting a really high quality product and that you can really trust what you read on the label. It's also worth saying that it actually tastes really nice, and for me it's such a good reminder to actually get some hydration in first thing in the morning. As I've said to you before, you know that I will never talk about a product that I don't truly believe in and truly use myself. So with all of that being said, if you head over to drinkag1.com/Hannah Adkins, AG1 are very kindly giving us a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2, and also 5 of their travel packs that I showed you, these ones that are honestly so convenient and so handy, and you'll get all of that free with your first purchase. I'm going to finish this, I'm going to get myself dressed, and then let's head to breakfast before a long exciting day of viewings. Okay, let's have a debrief about the 2 houses that we saw this morning. We do now have 2 viewings this afternoon as well, so we're heading over there very shortly, but I just wanted to quickly, in real time, keep you up to date with my thoughts on everything we've seen. So the 2 houses this morning were kind of different ends of the spectrum, very different in terms of size, very different in terms of budget, to be completely honest. There's a good few £100,000 difference between the 2 houses, and very different in almost every way. They're kind of, like I said, they're kind of the 2 opposite ends of what we're looking at. So the one that we saw second was like a really super teeny tiny little cottage, but just gorgeous, like really quintessential, really beautiful. It actually didn't have too much work to be done, just like little bits here and there to change it to be kind of my taste. Had a really lovely but small garden, but again enough space, and a little driveway in a gorgeous village, gorgeous setting. And it's kind of exactly what I thought I was looking for, just a little place to stay when I'm down in the Cotswolds. Then versus the first one that we saw. The first one that we saw is, well, the outside space on the first one we saw is everything I could ever dream of, and honestly more. It is so beautiful. It's got a huge privately gated driveway that you could honestly park 4 cars on really easily. Not that we have 4 cars, I have this one, but a really lovely big private driveway. It has a really big barn that's kind of split into 2, like a historic old barn, which is amazing space that you could make the most of. The garden is completely wraparound, and the views are they're just over the hills, and you are kind of a bit higher up, so you can see for a really long way. And it's just, the setting of that house and the plot that it's in is perfection, like perfection. We looked around the garden first, and I thought, I'm in trouble, like I'm in love. I adore this house, and I absolutely loved all the really old outbuildings. They were just gorgeous. However, the house itself is a little bit tricky in the sense that it's a grade 2 listed property, which you do get a lot of in the Cotswolds, because obviously the buildings are so old and so beautiful. A lot of them are listed, but with it being listed, that makes things a lot more complicated, potentially a lot more time consuming, and also can be a lot more expensive if you do want to make any changes. You're also very, very limited to the changes that you can make. So for example, it would be almost impossible, I think, to put on, say, like an extension on that house. So although it is in a really huge plot, the house itself is not very big. So that does make things a little bit tricky. So I think, you know, with that first one, with the position that it's in and how beautiful the building is and everything, if it wasn't listed, and we would have a bit more flexibility to sort of make the space work a bit better for us, I think there would be no stopping me. I think I would be on the phone to Kenny saying this is the one, because I could see us living there for a long time, because it's just so, in so many ways, it's so perfect for us. But it is listed, and I have to be realistic about the fact that we wouldn't really be able to make structural changes or even take out walls or do anything like that. It kind of breaks my heart, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. My heart wants to say yes, but my head is saying it's probably not sensible. And then the second one, like I said, I told you all the lovely things about the little cottage, but the main thing with that one is it is teeny tiny, like really, really tiny. It's only an issue if I'm going to live there full time and I had to, in theory, like fully move into that cottage, then that just needs some thinking about, or how we do that, or whether, you know, it just needs some thinking about. As much as I do adore it. It's like, you know, something out of the holiday. It's just gorgeous. But in terms of actually living there full time, it could be tricky. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on those first two. I wouldn't say I've ruled either of them in or out, but we do still have two lovely houses in two different villages, so 4 different villages this morning, all gorgeous, gorgeous villages. So we're going to head over there now, and I think we're also going to get some lunch. I'm taking my parents with me because they know far more than I do about houses and the reality of developing houses and that sort of thing. So I think we're all going to go and grab some lunch as well. So let's go. Okay, if you can hear me over the pouring rain, then we'll have a bit of a catch up. The weather today has probably not been the most ideal house viewing weather, although my dad always says it's better to see a house on a day where it's rainy and dark and cloudy than on a sunny day, because obviously on a sunny day everything seems so much nicer and brighter and lighter. So if you love a house on a rainy, cloudy day, then you know you love that house. So the two houses that we just saw, if we start with the first one that we saw this afternoon, I think that is the biggest house that we've seen today, definitely in terms of kind of like the internal floor plan, or the existing internal floor plan. It's a 3-bedroom house. It has a really, really good sized kind of living space, really good sized kitchen. It has a really lovely walled garden at the back, and again a little sort of walled front garden, which is really, really pretty. It also has a driveway, which is great, and it's a beautiful, beautiful home. It kind of has wisteria growing up the front, which I always just think is so pretty. And yeah, a really well kind of proportioned house, and definitely a really great house for the money that they're asking for it. However, I was saying to my dad, and it's a really, really funny thing, I think, when you buy houses, something about it that just didn't really click with me, and I can't put my finger on it at all, because really it's sort of like the most straightforward, one of the most beautiful houses we've seen, definitely one of the most spacious houses. It definitely needs a good amount of work done to it, but nothing scary, nothing huge. You know what I think it might be? I think it might be because I know I'll be sort of living there on my own, and obviously when we viewed it today it's empty, so there's no furniture in there, and I suppose maybe I just had the feeling that I'd be kind of rattling around in a house like that for now, because yeah, I don't really need all of that space. So then we moved on and we saw the second house. I don't think I showed you too much of the house because there were a really lovely family still living there, and they obviously had all of their personal things in the house, and it just doesn't feel right to kind of put all of that on the internet. Kind of village where everybody knows everybody, and they were telling us loads about the neighbour that lives next door and how lovely he is and all of that sort of thing. And yeah, the house itself, it was set over 3 stories, but it's kind of one room on each story. So downstairs is kind of an open plan kitchen living space with a really big fireplace, which is gorgeous. This house honestly had just the most unbelievable original features. My dad and I were saying that it feels wrong that somebody can just live there. It almost feels like it should be owned by the National Trust or something. It has the original Jacobin staircase, the dark wood staircase, which I think I tried to take a couple of clips of. But yeah, it was truly an incredible, incredible property to see. But I think, again, probably not quite right for me, and there's a couple of reasons for that. I think the first reason is that there are so many original features that obviously I would never dream of wanting to change. Like, somebody needs to just get that house and preserve it like a museum. But I think because of that, there would be things that wouldn't really be workable for me, just certain areas of the house that would be a little bit tricky. So I think, again, it's a little bit of a heartbreaking one because the setting is perfection. The house is so beautiful and kind of exactly what I thought I wanted, but just trying to be realistic, I do think there are a few things about it that would be tricky for me to kind of work around. But yeah, that's kind of where my thoughts currently are on those 4. Definitely the 2 this morning are playing on my mind a little bit. They are definitely contenders. We need to do a bit more research, we need to ask a few more questions, maybe go on second viewings. But I also know we're very early in the search, so I would like to kind of see a few more houses before we decide on one. Although the Cotswolds is somewhere that you kind of have to act fast because it's a very competitive market here, it always is. But that's the update, that's how I'm currently feeling about everything. I'd love to know your thoughts as well. Just from everything I've said, kind of what you think, and if you've got lots of experience, because I've only ever done this house buying process once before. So for any of you that have been through this too, I would just love to know your advice and your experiences and what you think, and whether I should look for longer or whether if something's tugging on my heartstrings I should, you know, potentially pursue it. Yeah, I'd love to know what you think. But anyway, we popped for some lunch in Bybury, and now I think we're going to call into Dalesford on the way home just because we're quite close by, and Dad wants to pick up a few bits for dinner, and Mum and I will probably get another coffee and cake or something, a little sweet treat of some kind. And then I think I'm going to stay for dinner at my parents' house before I get on the road later. We are back in Manchester. I ended up staying down in the Cotswolds last night, which wasn't the plan, but last night we had, honestly, I think some of the biggest thunderstorms that I've ever seen in England. They were wild. It was so loud, the rain was so heavy, just honestly relentlessly pouring. I've never seen rain like it. The sort of lightning that just illuminates the entire house. So I didn't quite fancy the motorway in those conditions last night, so I decided to stay over till this morning, and then I kind of just thought I might as well work from my parents' house today. So that's what I've been doing all day, hence there being nothing fun to show you, because I have just been sat on my laptop all day, and then I waited until the England game was on this evening to drive home because I thought the roads would be quiet, and let me tell you now, that works. So if you have somewhere to be on the day of the England semi-final and you don't mind just tuning in on the radio, the roads are honestly empty. The motorway was empty, all of the small roads not a car in sight. So I just got back, made myself a big cup of tea, put my pyjamas on. I am just going to spend the evening finishing up this video so I can get it up for you tomorrow morning. But this morning I did have a long chat with Kenny. I FaceTimed Kenny and we had a long talk about the houses, and we have decided to sort of just put one teeny tiny step forward with one of the houses and just kind of move things along to the very initial sort of stages of getting serious about a house. But what I'd love to know from you is, which house do you think we are kind of moving forwards on? I say kind of because it's such early stages, you know, there's not even like a formal offer in place. It's also a Saturday today, so nothing will be done till Monday. I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to share this journey with you, and we'll catch up next week. Bye guys.